Now, before we get into the grit and the grime of pulling these things apart, first I think it's important that we answer the question, what exactly is an owl pellet?
Here, let's pick one up. This is puke.
Like bleh, puke?
Owl puke.
Okay, well, I'm sure you guys are wondering, where in the world did Coyote and Mario possibly get a giant satchel of owl pellets? Mario, do you want to explain this?
Ah, yes. Let me tell you a little tale about Nieve.
First of all, to understand why we have this baggie of owl pellets, you gotta understand who Nieve is. Nieve was born on the cold Arctic tundra, and against all odds, she survived the harsh, bitter cold northern winters. Once she was old enough to migrate south for the winter, she decided to snowbird down in Columbus, right up by the dam, because the rocks gave her a good vantage point to hunt for food. Then one day, some bird watchers saw her and posted it up on eBird. Overnight, she became a celebrity. That's when Pete from the Nature Conservancy hopped on a Zoom call with Coyote and Mario, who wanted to film an episode on snowy owls for the Brave Wilderness YouTube channel. And Nieve was like, "No way! I don't want to be famous, I just want to live my life." But Pete wanted to know what Nieve was eating, so he sent Coyote and Mario to collect her pellets. Now, because Coyote doesn't like the cold, he made Mario do the dirty work of suffering the freezing agony as he watched the owl day after day after day, waiting for it to barf up pellets. Seriously, for like 2 months, Mario froze his butt off filming Nieve and waiting for her to barf. Then one day, when it conveniently fit Coyote's schedule, he let Mario come in from the cold. And that is where the bag of owl pellets came from.
Wow, that was an epic tale.
Thank you.
And big thanks to Nieve for providing us with all these delightful looking owl pellets. Now what we're going to do next is actually dissect these owl pellets. And there's a reason we're going to do this. Pete from the Nature Conservancy is very curious as to what the owl that's living in this area is actually consuming. Now before we get into the grit and the grime of pulling these things apart, first I think it's important that we answer the question, what exactly is an owl pellet?
That's a great question, Coyote. Here, let's pick one up. Now, at first glance, you're gonna look at this and you're gonna say, Mario, that's
Poop?
poop.
It looks like poop.
Looks like poop, but here, grab this.
Okay.
Give it a smell.
A smell?
Sniff it.
Ooh, all right. Wow. It actually smells like absolutely nothing. It has no scent whatsoever.
No scent. Of course, poop would have a scent, right?
Poop stinks.
That's because this is puke.
Like bleh, puke?
Owl puke. The terminology for the scientific terminology is regurgitation. So this is the regurgitated pieces of an owl's meal that are not digestible by the owl, such as fur, which you can see already,
Yup.
bones, feathers, maybe teeth, maybe claws. So essentially, the owl's stomach has two parts. When the owl eats a prey item like a rodent whole, right, the stomach will separate the pieces. The tissue and soft parts go in one direction, the bones and feathers and indigestible parts go another direction, and that is compacted into this dense form of an owl pellet.
And then they puke it out.
And then they puke it out.
So here's a question. If they puke out the pellets, do owls still also poop?
That's a great question. Yes, they definitely still have very liquidy poop, as do most birds. So they just bloop, squirt it out.
So solids in one direction, liquids in another direction.
Yes.
That's crazy. So just to reiterate, the owl's stomach basically divides its meal in two different directions. And now these owls have a wide variety when it comes to their diets.
Right.
They primarily feast on rodents like mice and voles, maybe even weasels, but they will eat fish or birds.
Right, and the reason why Pete wants us to dissect these is because you can actually determine what the owl is eating by looking at all these parts.
Okay, well, before we start dissecting these pellets, I figured we'd make this a little bit more interesting by turning it into a competition.
Of course.
So what I did is I brought along a die.
Okay.
Now here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna roll it, you call high or low.
High.
Oh,
Ooh, that's
6.
strong.
I'm probably not gonna beat that, but now I will roll 2.
Oh.
Because you rolled a 6, you won, which means you get to pick the first pellet.
Okay, naturally I'm going for this big boy right here.
Ooh, all right, size may or may not matter with pellets. I'm gonna actually go for one that is smaller because it's more dense. I'm thinking there could be something good in there, we'll see. All right, next pellet goes to you.
Okay, this other one right here.
Okay, it's also sizable. I'm gonna stick with my theory that dense is better.
Oh, you know I'm going for this one.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one. I probably should pick that one. All right, I guess that leaves me with the last slightly fuzzy, fluffy looking pellet. There we go. We've each got 3 owl pellets. Now, here's how we're gonna make this competition work. The person who has either the most complete skeleton, whether that's a rodent, a bird, or a fish at the end, or the most number of skulls will be deemed the winner.
Okay, and what's the prize?
Oh, I knew you were waiting for the
I mean,
prize.
there's always a prize.
There's gotta be a prize. The prize is that if you win, you get your very own music video at the end of this video.
What? That's
right.
epic.
Our music video. Who doesn't want a music video, right?
I'm all for it. Let's go.
Okay, so if you guys are ready, let the Owl Pellet dissection montage begin. Look at that. This right here is most of a skull. So the brain and the eyes obviously missing, but the eye sockets, the front teeth, all of the main teeth are still in place. I would guess this is probably either a field mouse or a vole. Look at that, two lower mandibles.
Wow.
That is all undigested mouse fur or some sort of vermin.
Look at this skull.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that might be the best skull of the day right there.
So Coyote, if you were like an owl and regurgitated items, I would predict what you would find in your coyote pellet.
Okay, what would be in my coyote pellet?
Cheeseburgers,
Yep,
Doritos,
probably.
some Sour Patch Kids.
That's unquestionable. Yeah, chips, candy, and cheeseburgers. That sounds about right. Well, it took us about an hour, which
Yeah.
I'm sure the editors cut down into a really nice little succinct 1-minute owl pellet dissection montage. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. So now it's time to take a look at what came out of the pellets.
Okay, why don't you go first?
Okay, in all fairness, it was a lot more difficult than I thought. I didn't get a full skeleton, I got a bunch of random bones, but I did manage to pull 5 skulls.
Oh, that's pretty good. Ah, man, you beat me there because I only got about 3.5 skulls and a bunch of miscellaneous bones.
Okay, so technically I think that makes me the winner.
Hang on a second. I also did create this.
What? What is that? A fur mouse?
It's a little rodent.
I gotta give it to you. I'm gonna default and say that you win, partially based on the fact that you created this fur rodent. I didn't even know that was a thing. But Mario did spend the past 2 months out in the freezing cold filming the owls. So,
Well, thank you.
I think you win the music video.
Yes. All right, I'm gonna be on MTV.
This was fun though, wasn't it?
It was a little messy, a little chaotic, but you know, that's science for you.
It is, and what's cool is that if you guys go out and find some owl pellets of your own, you can do this dissection in your own kitchen. Make sure to wear a bandana or maybe some eye covering, but it is a super cool way to see exactly what owls are eating. I'm Coyote Peterson.
I'm Mario Decoa.
Be brave.
Stay fluffy?
we'll see on the next adventure. And without further ado, I think it's time to now debut of Where the Owl Goes.
Snowy owls are large, beautiful, and charismatic birds. If you happen to see one in the wild, consider it an incredible life moment. If you have the desire to dissect an owl pellet, it's a fun and educational way to discover what the hooters in your area have been eating. However, to make the experience completely sanitary, it's always best to wrap the pellets in aluminum foil and bake them in the oven at 325 degrees Fahrenheit. That is, if your parents will let you put owl puke in the oven. Having a snowy owl winter over in central Ohio means that we have the right natural spaces in our community that allow these birds to feel safe and protected. To learn more about the birding opportunities in your area, make sure to visit nature.org/bravewilderness.